It should remind me, it should remind you, it should remind us. Never, ever, ever, even if you don't have much communication with him anymore, never forget the people that God used in your life to get you where you are right now. Don't ever forget them. Don't ever forget those people. You may not even be on the same page anymore. Don't ever forget those people. You're not a self-made man. You're not a self-made woman. You didn't pull yourself up by your bootstraps. The Holy Spirit used somebody in your life to pray for you. You're a product of somebody's prayer life. You're a product of somebody's financial benevolence, stewardship, sacrifice into your life. Don't ever forget the people that made you who you are. That's why months ago in the other tent, the circus tent they called it, that's why we brought Jimmy Crockett in. That's why April the 17th of this next year, which happens to be on a Sunday. It's rare that it would happen this way, only so many years, that my spiritual birthday would fall on a Sunday. 30 years of salvation this coming April, 30 years. And we'll celebrate it together under this tent. 30 years ago, we'll celebrate it under this tent. But two of the people that we're going to have under this tent that celebrate with us on that day are, number one, the man that was preaching the night I got saved. I found him and I reached out to him. And the man that ran the children's home that I grew up in for 4 years that became the dad that I never had and influenced my life to the place where I'm standing on this platform with this microphone right now. But I say all that to say this, and I'm not done, but I'm just gonna quit and we're gonna pray. When I called the man that was preaching the night I got saved, we've seen each other one time in 30 years at a conference in Vegas that I was preaching at, he was giving a testimony at. He's not in the ministry as far as what he was doing anymore. He works at Liberty University. He took over Jerry Falwell's Sunday school class when Jerry Falwell went to heaven years ago. So he does that Sunday school class, but he doesn't travel as an evangelist anymore. He was an Cajun evangelist, David Benoit. Looks like Benoit. But I called him and I found him. I don't even know how I found him. It's a long thing. The Lord worked it out. I reached out to him. I sent him a text. I said, is this Dave Benoit? And he said, yeah, who's this? And I told him. So he called me immediately. A couple months ago now, I've been in contact with him. And we talked for a while, 30, 40 minutes. And he said, you know what's interesting about this conversation? This broke my heart. It helped me, but it broke my heart. He said, I couldn't tell you the thousands of sermons that I've preached all over America and around the world as an evangelist. He said, I did it for 30 years. To some of the biggest Baptist churches, that was the circles that I knew him in, some of the biggest Baptist churches on the planet. He said, there's times I would give the invitation and 1,000 people would come to the front in these huge crusades and respond to the gospel. 30 years, he said, I did it. And before we hung up the phone, Micah, he said, you are the only convert in 30 years that's ever reached out to me and thanked me. The only convert in 30 years. Now that blessed me that I felt the need to do that, but it crushed me. Because we forget the people that made us who we are. We forget the men and women of God that labored on their knees to give us what we have. Somebody paved the way for us to have revival in this tent, and it wasn't me. Somebody else.